welcome to another Cool Tool Tuesday. This week we're going to be doing oil change tools. So what kind of tools do I use when completing an oil change? See quite a few of them here. Unfortunately some of the audio went out, that's why you're hearing a voiceover. You're going to hear that kind of throughout the video. So we'll go ahead and get started by getting the car up on ramps. If you haven't seen one of my other videos for Cool Tool Tuesdays, we talk about lifting tools, so how to get a vehicle up, and then we go into more depth on these race ramps. These race ramps are a great bit of kit to be able to get a vehicle up without having to jack it up. So you saw me pull it up, how quick and easy that was to get underneath. So you also notice on the Honda here, it's got a service mode for the hood. You can get that hood almost completely vertical, giving you tons of space. So a quick look at the engine bay. I'm going to go into more detailed build videos later on things that I've done to this car. But obviously for the oil change, the two important things are going to be the oil cap and the dipstick. These are both aftermarket, the ones that I have here. So got a Hybrid Racing oil cap and a Wonderland Racing dipstick. You'll see those a little bit later too. So let's talk a little bit more about the actual tools and materials that I use. So I've got a Husky knee pad here. I'm too old to be getting on the concrete floor on my knees. These things save your life. They're really cheap. Get any type of knee pad just to be able to get down underneath the vehicle. I use Motul engine oil. This is using 8100 Power series with ester. It's a 530, and then I use a Wix oil filter. Just use whatever you prefer. You know, there's huge arguments on what's the best oil. Heck, if you want to go ahead and start it in the comments, let's see if we can get that battle going. This is what I choose to use. I also do an oil analysis via Blackstone Laboratories. So you're going to see me take a sample of the oil, and that sample gets sent off to Blackstone. A little bit later in the video, I'll show you what the results look like, what you get back. And then I also have a funnel that screws into the top of the valve cover. This just helps in case the funnel overfills, doesn't overflow into the valve cover and leak oil everywhere. I also use tub of towels to clean my hands. These are great. And then obviously if I don't want to clean my hands, I try to use gloves. So any set of nitro gloves, I'll list those on Amazon. And then you gotta have some basic tools, so a wrench, a filter wrench. And then I have a magnetic plug, so I change the gasket on that drain plug. And these are the gaskets that I buy through the company called Gold Plug, I think it is. I'll leave a link in the description on the plugs that I use for the oil drain plugs. And then I also have a Harbor Freight Maddox pressurized canister an oil filter cutter. So that canister I fill with the brake clean over there, so I buy it by the gallon. Just a cheaper way to use brake clean. Brake clean can be expensive if you start buying in the can, especially nowadays. It used to be a lot cheaper, but nowadays it's not something you just want to blow through. And then that oil filter cutter is a neat piece of kit, because what you can do is actually cut the oil filter open to take a look at the pleats. And then I also have a Milwaukee driver that I use. And this is just something you use to get off the skid plate, just to make it quick. I put it on the lowest setting so it doesn't over torque anything and rip any bolts out. Something super easy to get the skid plate down. You'll see when I get underneath there how I utilize that. Now you gotta have a receptacle for the oil. So here I've just got a basic, I think it's a 15 or 16 quart drain pan. And then what I like is I have a foam almost diffuser that goes on top. I'll link it in Amazon. This helps the oil not splash. Otherwise it just hits everything. And then I just have a bunch of old containers that I use to fill up. So once I fill those containers up, I run to my local transfer station and go ahead and drop the oil off. Also, you're gonna need a way to clean things. I love Scott shop towels. You're going to see here, if you notice throughout the video, I've actually got a couple of these holders everywhere. I buy them in bulk on Amazon, so you can see here, I think it's like a 6-pack or 10-pack of them. I just go through them a ton. So great to wipe your hands down, wipe everything down. So let's go ahead and get the oil cap out and dipstick up. So this one has a flip top on the oil cap. So you can see here, I'm going to pop it up. And then what I like to do is once you take an oil cap off, this is an old habit of mine I learned a long time ago. Put it where the hood latch is, And the reason you do this is that you can't close the hood without putting the oil cap on. I can't tell you how easy it is to forget and get caught up. You're doing something else, you go close the hood, the oil cap's off. So just a quick reminder to do that. And then we're going to pull the dipstick out. This again is that Wonderland Racing dipstick. So this is an all metal construction. So the factory Honda dipstick is pretty notoriously bad. It's a metal dipstick, but it's got a plastic end. It's impossible to read. This one, you can actually read the oil level on it. So let's go ahead and get underneath the car. All right, let's get underneath here and get this done. So now we're underneath the car. This car could not be simpler to do an oil change on. So kind of point out where the drain plug is. And then also this is that mag plug I was telling you about. So this is where that gasket's going to go. And then I'll show you where the oil filter's at. Again, this could not be any easier. Some cars are just nightmares. This is obviously user friendly. Now we're not going to service the transmission, but if we were, here's the drain plug. And then there's a fill plug up there. Just make sure you know the difference between the two, right? Also, since we're underneath here, I'll show you another aftermarket piece I have on the car. So I do have a billet rear motor mount from PRL. Made a huge improvement on the overall shifting and feel of the car. So let's go ahead and get some oil drained. You're going to notice that I put the drain plug back in midstream there. Started draining it and forgot I didn't have the sample container. So what you want to do is when you're taking an oil sample, you want to let the oil drain for like a second or two and then start taking some of the oil sample. So here I went ahead and grabbed that container, and then we're just going to fill it up with some oil. Obviously, see how quick it fills up. Kind of makes a little bit of a mess, but you know, it's not the end of the world. We've got the oil drained, we've got our new filter installed. Now we're ready to go ahead and add oil. And this is going to be the funnel that I use. So this actually screws into the valve cover. Again, I'll link it on Amazon. This just makes it a little bit easier. If you've ever spilt oil down the side of an engine onto the exhaust and smell burning oil for the next week or two, you'll know why this is important, especially on the Honda here with the turbos right up front. Obviously, you need to look up fluid capacities. Your first stop really should be your owner's manual, but sometimes you're lazy or you don't have your owner's manual handy. You can certainly Google search an owner's manual, but this is a cool website that you can use for AMSOIL. They have basically a lookup. So obviously they're trying to sell their fluids, but you can use this to actually look up your vehicle. So we're going to look up the Honda. Just make sure you select everything you need. So this is the K20 C1 turbo. Hit shop, and as soon as you do, it'll bring you to all the different fluids, but what you're really looking for is you're looking for this here. So this here will give you the capacity. Let's get rid of the rad. For the capacity, it was 5.7 quarts with filter for oil. You can even go down, it'll tell you other fluids. So coolant, transmission fluid. It's really all you're going to need on this vehicle, but you know, you can look at trucks and things like that. You can see rear diffs, transfer cases, all the other fluid specifications you may need. So pretty cool site. I'll link it in the description. Now they got the oil in, you just want to start the car up, let it run and idle for just a few seconds, get the oil pressure up, let it get a little warm, and then we'll get underneath and check it. Now we got the oil drained, we got oil in it, and we're just going to get back underneath, double check that we don't have any leaks, everything's sealed up properly. So what I like to do is just go ahead and put a wrench on the drain plug again. Again, not super tight, just making sure it's tight. Any residual oil you've got anywhere, just to make sure you've wiped it up. Put our hand on the oil filter, nice and warm, clean. Feel around it, nothing there. And again, I like to double check that our gasket is on the old oil filter, so you don't double gasket. And then we are good to put the skid plate back up. I have an aftermarket PCV oil catch can on this car. This topic is always debated for some reason. Personally, if you have a direct injected engine or even a direct injected engine, a PCV catch can works great. The PCV system is your positive crankcase ventilation. It helps ventilate the crankcase, i.e. oil vapors, so you don't get a pressurized crankcase. And this system catches oil from going into the intake. I mean, you can see right here, it's not a ton of oil, but there's oil, and that oil would have gone through the intake to be ingested by the engine. So this catches that, and then every oil change, you just dump it. I've had other vehicles, GM, direct injected, LT series engines, the newer series, L83s out of a Sierra. They would catch almost half a quart. So. With catch cans, a Nishimoto catch can. For all the PCV catch can haters, just don't run one. But I run them. I've had vehicles that make it, well over 200,000 miles running these on direct injected engines, so they just work. I'll link the description for this item, but I also use another company on other vehicles called Elite Engineering. They make a really high quality PCV catch can. So just put it back on, make sure it's nice and tight, and then we move on. So now we need to reset the oil light in the car. So I'm obviously sitting in the driver's seat. First going to put it in accessory mode. So to do that, just hit the power button twice. And this one we actually do on the main screen over here. So we're going to go to OK. Going to go to vehicle settings. And we're going to go to maintenance. Maintenance info. Oil life, and we're going to reset selected items. We're going to do oil life, oil filter. We're going to reset, and there we go. And if we go back to maintenance, we'll see here that oil life is at 100%. You need a way to remind yourself about the oil. I do not use the monitor in the car, even though I reset it to 100%. I don't actually follow that. I try to change my oil about every 3,000 miles, sometimes sooner. So I use stickers, just a habit that I have. So I have a ton of stickers. I have a full roll from an old job that I had years ago. So I just use those and a Sharpie and write down the new oil. So I always put down the mileage that I did it at and the date that I completed it at. That way I know when I'm looking at the car, I know how many miles I've driven. And I hate oil stickers on a windshield. That drives me nuts. I can't have anything on my windshield. That drives me absolutely bonkers. So I actually put everything in my door panel. Been doing this for years. Don't know if anybody else does this. I think I saw an old timer do this once before, and I basically put the stickers there. So you can see there's my maintenance stickers for different things that I've done on the car. That way they're out of sight, out of mind, but when I know I need the information, I can put it there. So we'll go ahead and throw this oil one on and get it wrapped up. All right, let's get this oil filter cut open. So we'll take the cutter tool and then put the oil filter in it. So open it up to where it's enough. Okay, and then we'll push the cutter tool down, light pressure, enough to where we can start to score it. You can see there start to be a score line. Give it a couple twists, cut it again, a couple twists tighter. A little too tight, we're getting there. Roll it around until it becomes easy. A couple more twists. Almost there. Hands are a little slick, so grab a towel. There we go, I hear it opening right now. And then obviously we're going to get a lot of oil that comes out of it too. Give it one final turn in, just to, there we go. Got to fully open up. We'll go ahead and open the tool all the way and get the bottom out, just so we don't leak a bunch of oil. Gonna wipe the tool off. Set it off to the side. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and open this up. So then what we're looking for is we're looking down inside of here. Take the spring out. Looking for any glitter. So as we look down inside, just trying to see what does that oil look like. Any metal components, things like that. Now, The filter is supposed to catch stuff, so you will see some remnants in there. So as I kind of run it across, no glitter, which is great. The car's only got 22,000 miles on it, so I don't expect there to be a lot. A little bit of debris in there, which is expected. I mean, the filter's doing its job. And then we can come into here and start taking a look at this. So as we look inside, looking in the pleats, making sure there's no chunks. I don't see anything. Everything looks really good. So nothing out of the ordinary here. So this is exactly what you want to see. So good oil filter. Here we're going to package up the oil to send it off the Blackstone. So you just go online, pay online. It'll give you a order number. You just include that order number on a card that you fill out to include with the oil sample. And then in a couple weeks to sometimes a month, you'll get an oil sample back, analysis back. And this is what it looks like. I'm not going to go in extreme detail at every line item on this, but you know, for those that are interested, you could go in deep, way more here than probably I even come close to understanding. What I mainly like to see is did the oil viscosity hold up across the oil change interval? Also, since this is a direct injected engine, I like to see is there any fuel, how much fuel is in the oil, just to see if we're getting a lot of like blow by and things like that. So we're done with the oil change. A couple of the cool things that I keep is those tub of towels that I have. I have a holder for it right here. This is made by Stupid Simple Tools, I think. I'll try to list where it's at, but basically it's just a 3D printed item with some magnets that holds on the side of my toolbox. I'll use that to clean up my hands a little bit. And then also the gloves. I have a Harbor Freight box holder. Just keep it on the side of the toolbox, so I can keep my box of gloves in there and just rip them out as I need. So that's it. Oil change done. Hopefully you saw some pretty neat tools. Nothing groundbreaking here. The ramps we talked about already if you watched the lifting video. That's really important. I mean, you got to get the vehicle up to get underneath it to change oil. Well, not always. There are different ways to do it, but it's the way I change oil. Yeah. So do you need all the tools that we saw today? No. Do you need a drain pan? You need a wrench. You need a way to get the vehicle up, get underneath there, get the filter off, get the drain plug out. But these tools that I saw today really just make it easier. And that's what it's all about. Good tools make things easier to do. Makes you more inclined to want to do it yourself, not pay someone else to do it. So saving money on paying other people to do it, you can actually use that money to buy nice tools to make it easier for you to do the job. You can also spend money on better fluids. You know what's going in. You know what type of fluid, how much fluid went in. You know the job got done right because you did it yourself. So great. I appreciate everybody taking the time with me. I'm going to be getting some build videos out soon, talking about the Honda and the truck, and then hopefully some local builds. I do have quite a bit of parts just sitting around for the Honda still. I'm a little bit of a parts hoarder. Some more parts are actually coming in too. So as soon as I get some of that going, I'll probably do some videos on installs, things of that nature. But yeah, that's it. I appreciate everybody taking the time with me today, and we will talk soon.